Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Dee Dee. We are the hilarious outcome of opposing brains sharing a mutual desire to share knowledge and positive thinking about hemp and cannabis.
We are here to tear down the walls built by Big Pharma and other big companies that seek to keep the human race in fear and divided.
We are here to shatter the myths about hemp and cannabis and change the stigma of this amazing plant. Welcome to Hemp and Happiness with the Hemp Queen
And Emperor
podcast. Join us as we venture into this misunderstood and the unknown. Hey, happy hempsters. Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a little while since we've done a podcast, so we appreciate you hanging in there and being patient with us. We have been just a little busy, and I was sick for a good 3 weeks, and I still feel like my voice sounds like a frog. So I apologize for that in advance, but kind of can't help it. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff today. Lots of different things. We got a couple little things that we were wanting to get in this episode. But yeah, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. We're coming at you from 812 Hemp in Clarksville, Indiana. That is our second store location, and super happy to have it up and running and getting out there and meeting people. We had a very successful grand opening event. Tons of people were here. There was so many people here. I don't even know that I got to meet all of them or thank all of them for being here. It was pretty cool. Very well received in the community. So very happy about that. Look forward to meeting more people from Indiana and watching and growing 812 Hemp here. So thank you so much. Pass it along that we are here and open, and we are your cannabis connection. So Matt's with me today. So, hey, Matt, it's been a while since I've seen you.
Yes.
We've been working in two different stores, so it's been pretty difficult. Plus, I don't want to get anybody sick, so I stay away from everybody if I ever feel bad. So it's a good thing. It's the right thing to do. But today we're going to start with statins. And do you know what a statin is, Matt?
I do not.
You don't?
I know what
Seriously?
Staten Island is.
Yeah, it's not
because I'm a
Staten
native
Island.
New Englander, and I've been to New York. So
It's definitely not Staten Island.
okay, well, tell me.
I mean, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, but statins, it's a statin, S-T-A-T-I-N, statin.
Looks very close to the word Satan.
It does.
Oh, could it be Statins?
Statins?
Remember the church lady from Saturday Night Live?
No.
Oh, could it be Satan?
Well, these kind of do sound like Satan for
So
your
it's
body.
not just clever spelling.
It's not, but
Educate us on statins.
so statins, they're this medication that seems to be handed out like candy too. If your cholesterol is over 200, they want to get you on this medication. They tried it with me and I was like, hell to the no. And the reason being, at least in my opinion, and again, I'm not a medical professional and you can argue with me all you want, don't care. Your cholesterol is like your blood pressure. It ebbs and flows, right? Now, granted, if you have constant high blood pressure, that's one thing. If you have constant high cholesterol, that's one thing. But I do believe that our cholesterol is based on a lot of what we eat, what we put into our bodies. I think it can ebb and flow. Now, if you're eating shit all the time and you're not taking care of yourself, you're eating a lot of processed foods, of course you're going to have high cholesterol. That's stuff our body doesn't break it down very well. But for the most part, if you eat a relatively healthy diet, your cholesterol should be relatively good. Now, there is hereditary.
Okay.
There is. And I was going to get to that. I know.
I'm just asking. I don't know.
I know there is a hereditary thing there with high cholesterol too. That does exist. And that does seem to put people at a much higher risk for heart disease. And heart disease is a huge thing, especially for women, because some women have heart disease and they don't realize they have it because we are less likely to take care of ourselves. We always take care of everyone else first. That's just how it is. That's just how it's always been.
They say the same thing about men.
No, they don't. Maybe about heart disease, but not about you guys taking care of everybody else first.
Moving along.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that. Now you guys are
10 reasons why men die younger than women.
Well, and you guys are even worse about going to the doctor though and taking care of yourselves. I will say yes on that one. It's like an act of God to get men to go to the doctors, right? I'm not wrong on that one. I mean, but I'm really bad about it. Because I truly believe you can about cure anything with cannabis in your diet. So, I mean, and a good chiropractor. But those are my 3 things. And exercising, I think that's important too.
So there's high density lipoproteins and low density lipoproteins. Are you going to get into all that?
Hell no, that's way over my head.
Do you know what the difference is between the two?
Not really. Okay. Do you?
I know one's good and one's bad.
I do know.
I don't know which is which.
I know that as well.
Because I always ask whenever I get blood work done, and they're like, not to, brag, but have always had like really low blood pressure and really low cholesterol. So they're like, it doesn't matter. You're fine. You're fine. So I've never explored it. But I have had employees, friends, and family members that have been like in a bad way.
I have to
with cholesterol, so I should pay more attention to it for the people around me.
It probably is something, I mean, that we all should pay attention to. But what I found funny, and I'll just use myself and my husband as an example. His was 300 and something. They didn't even want to put him on anything. Mine was 210, like 10 points over. They wanted to put me on something. So I'm like, no, I will just change my diet. So I still need to go back and get that retested, but I'm like 10 points and he's up at 300. Are you kidding me? No. His is better now, but they didn't put him on anything. I mean, I truly believe it's about your diet. And he's changed his diet quite well, which is good. Helps me too with mine when we both eat better. Usually that's happens.
True. That's true of any relationship. I mean, that's whenever I see a couple and one of them's like, oh, I'm going to get fit. And the other one's like, I don't care. I'm like, no, you're not. Because if you don't have that support at home and the other person's on the couch eating,
bonbons
and
or chips
those snowballs and eating chips
junk.
And drinking soda. That's too much.
It is.
That's the same thing when I hear people, I'm going to quit smoking, but
but my spouse still smokes. It's impossible.
You can't have that in the house.
No, you really can't.
And be like, oh no, that's for you.
Yep. Now I'm pretty good about going to the grocery and trying to buy healthy foods, and he is really good about promoting eating fruits and vegetables as our snack. Because if I want a snack at night, I will turn to something that, not bad though, usually nuts, but I'll eat too many. You know what I mean? So I like cashews and peanuts, where I know it's a good fat, but it's still kind of fatty.
I don't even know that that's necessarily good fat when you're just getting into straight fat.
Right?
Fat is fat.
It is.
Because
calories too. There's a lot of calories in nuts.
For people who follow macronutrients, the macronutrients, it doesn't, good fat, bad fat, it all goes to the same bucket. There, you have 3 buckets. That's the one thing I like about the macros, the macro philosophy is it's 3 things.
And I've not studied that nearly enough because I don't.
Fat, carbs, and protein.
I mean, I know.
Those are the 3.
Low protein.
There's nothing else.
High protein, low fat to an extent, low
carbohydrates,
low carbs. But I have noticed if I try to truly cut carbs out, it is impossible and I do not lose weight.
I don't know that it's healthy to cut carbs out. I think it's a regulation of carbs because the thing is we live in a society where everything we eat is carb rich,
right?
And we don't realize it until we look at it. And that's what like the apps and stuff that I use and I follow, especially when I'm trying to do something with my body. It is eye opening how much carbs as Americans we consume.
We definitely do.
It's a lot, and I didn't realize it. And really, we do a good amount of protein, but you're not getting as much protein in your diet as you think you are.
And it's so hard. Like as much protein as I'm supposed to get. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I would be eating literally all day. And it's funny because I'm not a big eater. You'd be surprised by that, I know, because I got a little junk in my trunk. But I'm not that big of an eater. Like you know what I mean? So when I had my lap band and had all that stuff done and how much I was supposed to, and I'm like, oh my effing gosh, how am I supposed to eat all this shit? So I have to watch that. That's my big thing. I'm really, really bad about waiting until 3:00 and then I'm famished and you know what I mean? And hopefully I have a meal prepared, because if not, then I'm in big trouble. But that's this. We're getting off topic, which is what we do. It happens,
okay.
But
we
it's
haven't
still
even talked about when you get the munchies yet, and then you just shovel food into your face indiscriminately, and be like, "Did that have a hair in it? Fuck it, I'm eating it."
I'm gonna tell you a little secret though. Whenever I do my products, I just do it and then go to bed, because if not, then I will sit up and get the damn munchies, and that to me is not always a good thing. I don't want to have the munchies all the time, because I don't want to put extra weight on me that is not needed.
You know what, though? I've been taking that DZD9 with the mix of the 15 and the 5 milligrams of THCV. That THCV does help curb your munchies.
Does it?
It does.
You think, really?
Yeah, it's legit.
Okay.
It's legit. And I know, because I get bad munchies, like bad. So for me to say that, that's like the Ron Swanson guarantee. For
I ain't gonna lie, I've not tried that one yet.
What was what was that show with? Not Office Space. It was Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Yeah. I haven't watched it, so.
So you didn't even get the reference.
No, I don't watch a lot of TV. Okay. I don't.
Well, you listeners out there, you Ron Johnson or Rob, what was it? Rob Swanson. Yeah.
They did them. It works.
You get it.
We get it. They get it. But kind of while we were going into that, there was an article published in projectcbd.org, and they have a lot of really good articles. I read a lot of their stuff that they publish. They cite their sources. They do a really good job of just articles that are relevant to what's going on in today's society, and some of the things that they talk about with the CBD and our endocannabinoid system. And this article that I am referring to about the statins, they talk about how it just deregulates the endocannabinoid system. I think that's not deregulate, but spell that. Dysregulate?
Yeah, dysregulate.
That's a weird word.
That is quite a word. I don't know if
that.
that's a real word.
I'm sure it's a real word.
I thought it was my last name for a second.
Yeah, no, that would be weird. But what I found the craziest thing in this article, and to back up just a little bit, about 6, 7, 8 years ago, I met one of the doctors that helped push the statin medications through the FDA and the research and all this. And he told me, his own words was that it was one of the worst drugs that could have been passed in America. And the reason for this, he said, was because what it did is it created so many side effects that people needed other medications because of the statin medication. And he said it created this pill mill for people. And it's hitting a lot of the older generations, because that's when your cholesterol supposedly starts going up more the older you get. And, they wouldn't put me on it. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not even 50 yet. Forget it. And he said it caused a lot of side effects. And when I started looking into that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because it seems like just about every older person that I know of or that comes in our store, and they, we'll ask them about what meds they're on and things like that. And when they say they're on a statin medication, I'm just like, oh, are you also taking this? Are you also taking that? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And I can't really give them, obviously we don't give them medical advice or anything like that, but everything that he told me, I have seen that out of other people using statin medications. So
what are the side effects?
Oh gosh. Pain in your joints is a big one, like a really big one. That's probably the biggest one. People talk a lot about the pain that they have just throughout their whole body, where they think it's more like the fibromyalgia pain, which we've talked about that. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people didn't have these issues or symptoms, didn't have joint pain and stuff like that until after they started taking the statins. And in this article, it talks about it. So I was like, okay, well, at least I know this wasn't just in my head, because I kind of put 2 and 2 together a long time ago, especially after I talked to that doctor. That's why I kind of refused to get on statins. Like, no. But this article talks about, obviously, heart disease is a leading cause of death, and some people do need that help controlling their cholesterol in order to avoid some of the heart disease. But at the same time, some of these drugs, it talked about how they cause the muscle weakness and myopathy in patients. And the doctors used to think that was psychosomatic, that it wasn't, people are just thinking that in their head, that's what this was causing. But according to this research, the reason why is that the statin medications deplete cannabinoid receptor function. How fucking crazy is that?
That is crazy.
So, and it makes so much sense. So when people want to take, or when they are taking statins, I mean, that's the one things that we ask about, because most statin medications go through the same enzyme in the liver that CBD does. So you never want to take them together. But then to read that statins can actually deplete your cannabinoid receptor function, I was like, holy shit, Batman.
So are those endocannabinoids or?
Well, it says cannabinoids, but yeah, I mean, it would be your endocannabinoid system in general.
Right, but it would deplete the naturally occurring cannabinoids, not the introduced cannabinoids.
It didn't say about whether it was introduced or natural. It did not say that, or at least not that I remember in the article, but it talks about the endocannabinoid system. So I would think possibly if it is the natural cannabinoids that it is messing with, when you reintroduce the CBD products and put those back in your diet, I would be curious to see if it does actually help more. That I would be curious, because most of our customers, I mean, from anecdotal evidence, yes, it's helped, right? It's made a big difference, especially the ones that are on statin medications. So that was one of the things that I thought was crazy about this article. And they talked about all the tests that they did. Excessive endocannabinoid activity is associated with pathological conditions such as type 2 diabetes, liver, and kidney dysfunctions. So excessive endocannabinoid activity. Well, what the hell do they mean by that? Right?
Well, I would interpret that, and I'm guessing, but I would interpret that as your body pushing to replace the cannabinoids that it's being robbed of in the endocannabinoid system. So
right, naturally.
Well, that's what endocannabinoids are, the ones that are naturally produced.
Right.
So,
I mean, there is so much about this article that I was just like, okay, we need to at least talk about this because it's just insane. But yes, so it says those medications affects enzymes in the you do that one. Endocannabinome. See that big long word right there?
Yeah, endocannabinoid idiom.
Idiom. Oh, look at that. Man, I have such a hard time pronouncing words. I always have.
It's all right. I have a hard time spelling them.
I know you do. I can spell, but I can't pronounce and they call that the expanded cannabinoid system, encompassing several endogenous fatty acid compounds, in addition to the anandamide. I never can pronounce that one either.
Anandamide.
Yeah, anandamide. There you go.
Which is what THC attempts to replicate.
Right. And it says that the statins medications actually alters genes involved in regulating the cannabinoid receptors. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not a doctor. Again, I'm not can't give medical advice, but I thought that was truly interesting.
Well, yeah, if your body's being robbed of anandamide, then you're most likely going to experience
all kinds of different things. Yeah.
Enhanced pain.
Right.
Even though the pain is the same,
yep,
you're probably going to feel it more.
Yeah.
Because your body has an anandamide deficiency.
So then they get you to the pain clinic.
Right.
See how that all comes about?
And well, as fascinating as the statins are, it's not unique. It's unique in that this is the first medication I've heard of where there's direct evidence that it affects your endocannabinoid system and your body's ability to react with cannabinoids.
Right.
And endocannabinoids, just to clarify. But this is far from the first time I've heard stories. And using myself as a personal example where you have to take multiple medications and some sort of bizarre pyramid to offset the side effects from one medication that you're taking for one symptom, which there may be alternatives, including lifestyle changes.
Yes.
That would require you to not have to take those medications any longer. And that one medication, which then would, devalue or denote the other medications.
Right.
So
I thought that was kind of crazy. And I swear it makes sense just being in this industry as long as I've been in it. And what my customers tell us, it makes sense. And I've always, when that doctor told me that and he helped push it through, I've just always been like, you ain't getting me on that stuff. I will get back to my fruits and vegetables.
Well, and you have the right philosophy because you have a wellness-minded philosophy. But unfortunately, as much as we want to wave the finger at big pharma, it's our fault as a society.
I agree.
It's our fault as a culture because we eat excessively. We drink excessively.
Yes.
We have no consideration for our health or our wellness. We work all the time. And then we go to the doctor and say, fix me.
Right.
And the doctors are sick of saying, get exercise, get more rest, live a healthier lifestyle. So they just say, well, there's a pill for that. It's X amount of dollars. Get the hell out of my office. It's supported by your insurance company next.
Yeah.
And that's what the healthcare system's pretty much been reduced to. And we can blame everyone all we want, but the blame comes right back on us.
It does.
Because we make the conscious choice of every day how we're going to live our lives.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to throw this example out there too. Recently we had a customer, obviously I'm not going to give names or anything, but on a litany of medications and, could not sleep at all, could not sleep. That's why she came in to see us finally. So we get her help with the sleep. She finally starts sleeping. I mean, multiple calls, multiple times working with this, young lady. And then she calls to say that she thinks that the THC is giving her headaches. And it took me a while to get that out of her, like, 'cause she wanted to stop taking the products. And I'm like, why? You're sleeping now. That's why you came to see us, right? She's like, well, now I've got headaches. And I said, what's all the other medications that you're on? And she starts naming a few of these. And I said, have you read the side effects from those medications? You could have heard a pin drop.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Yeah.
A lot
but
of the
she was
side
quick
effects.
to blame the headache on the THC. And while maybe I find it highly unlikely because they were not using a huge dose. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were using it recreationally. Let's put it that way.
Or it could have been a combination of a medication she was taking
exactly.
and the THC together.
And that's what I said. And so she has a doctor's appointment, I think, tomorrow. And she said she's going to call us back. So I'm hoping that I do get to talk to her to see what her doctor said about it. Because I'm really under that firm belief the one medication that she talked about, one of the side effects is migraines.
Sure.
So, but she didn't read those side effects. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because they were doctor prescribed. Mm-hmm. That's what the doctor gave her. And that bugs me because anytime if I take a medication, I like to read the side effects of it. But
I had a customer come in last week to buy that hydration.
Mm-hmm.
And, actually he came in with a migraine and was kind of a dick, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. Cause I could tell dude was in serious pain.
In pain. Yeah.
He kept doing the kind of like little circle, walk in a circle, like try to deal with it, which I get, and was having a really hard time deciding on products. So anyway, I was like, hey, try the hydration. It's $5.99.
Right.
Worst case scenario, you're out $5, $6.
Right. Right.
So he came in the next day and bought a box and said, and I'm not testifying to this or anything, but he was like, that is the only thing I've ever taken that has helped my migraine like completely go away. And I am on some very expensive migraine medications. So,
right.
So you could argue both.
You can.
And, and I said, well, it could be the CBD, could be the THC, could be the potassium and magnesium that's in there. The electrolytes, maybe you're not drinking enough water. It could be just a combination of all those things. But, yeah.
And I feel like in today's society, our health has taken it has been put to the back burner. We're all so busy. We're all doing this. We're all doing that, taking care of kids, businesses, things, all that stuff, that sometimes we don't focus on our health as much as we should. And don't mess that up, Mike. Don't mess up the mic.
We don't focus on our wellness.
Yes, on our wellness.
Like we should.
And our health.
Right.
Both. Or even just the self-care and just taking the time off and doing things that you want to do and not being stuck wherever it is you are.
Which is part of wellness.
It is. It really is. So, and then even just dealing with the toxicity of other people sometimes, that will make your life a living hell. So I think to be well-rounded in life, you have to focus on all the good stuff too. And, read the side effects. You got to pay attention to some of that stuff. And you got to, if your doctor's only passing you out a pill and not trying to help you, maybe you need to find a new doctor. Because there's more to life than just taking a pill. There really is. And you have to be proactive on your own health, and you have to work on your health and your body and find out what it needs so you can be healthy. So, that was kind of all I had. I just mostly wanted to talk about that because I have, in my head, I always knew that those medications were affecting people. But when this came out and it talked about how it just messes with the endocannabinoid system, I was like, OMG. That makes perfect sense. And it's frightening.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and adding to that, the stifling lack of research about what the endocannabinoid system actually does, coupled with that, is even more alarming because we don't even know what we're messing with, what we're fiddling with, and what the long-term effects are of depriving ourselves of these chemicals, whether you want to refer to the endocannabinoid naturally produced chemicals or the cannabinoids introduced, I would say artificially, but from a natural
right. source,
but introduced into the body,
right.
are not made by the body. We need to think about that seriously. And ultimately, it all boils down to the same thing, which we go over on this podcast. Pretty much every podcast is it's about thinking for yourself. Your society and the businesses that support it, and we all want to think that our society is built by the people. No. We're followers right now. We're following the marketing that is being presented to us to show us how to live, and they're smart enough now to make us believe it's our own thoughts. Okay, that's what we're doing. And you can decide to do that and just be another consumer, be another sheeple, or you can think for yourself. And it's just that easy. And if you think for yourself, you can start making a difference in your life. You can start making a difference in your wellness and not leave it up to companies that are not looking for out for your best interest. They're just looking to capitalize on you.
And even in our industry, that exists too.
Yeah.
It just
especially
does.
In our industry.
There's
more people, trust me, after secret shopping, as much as I've done, there's more people in our industry that don't give a shit than do. And it's disappointing.
It is. That leads you to, and we might have to make that another episode, but there was some stuff that just came out this week about a product that
THCO.
Yeah, that I've not carried. And we've not carried. And I just kind of refused to, and I'm kind of glad I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, thanks for listening to us, and hopefully you get some answers. Talk to your doctor about statins, and if you truly, truly need them. I mean, my thought is, I had talked to someone else about this, and some people do just have high cholesterol. Does that necessarily mean for sure that it's going to lead to heart disease? Have they truly 100% figured that out? I don't know. I mean, I still think that some people may be higher on the higher end of things and they're fine. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, everybody's individual, and, you know, we all metabolize things differently. Our bodies all work differently too. Yeah. Even though we're one race, we all still have our own little idiocracies within our body. So just know what works for you and know to ask questions.
Idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, idiosyncrasies. Thanks. I told you I can't pronounce shit.
Yes. And do the research for yourself. Unfortunately, you can't just rely on your doctor, because your doctor's going to rely on your insurance company, and your insurance company is going to do whatever they want to do. And I hate to say it, but your insurance companies do not have your health in their mind as their best interest. They have preserving their profits as in their best interest.
Agreed.
So if you don't do the research yourself, don't expect anyone else to, because they won't.
Right. I will agree with that. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you listening. As always, feel free to leave comments and email us, or definitely follow us on all the social medias. And we appreciate your feedback, and, you know, refer a friend. We're all about that. Share our podcast with them so they can listen. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Bye. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Hemp and Happiness with the Hemp Queen
and Emperor.
Keep your mind ever open and expanding. Like, subscribe, review, follow us, all the good stuff. And
keep it hempy out there.